But yeah, that's not as big as it. That's one concern. But you also have obviously the fucking insane shit that we're hearing. Like Republicans trying to use the Communism Act of like 1957 or whatever the fuck to try and deport Mamdani, and then now another Republican wants to denaturalize Zohran Mamdani.
For 50 years and only recently moved to Connecticut and New York City for 17. I can't believe they've done this. How did we go from...
They haven't done that, like, because that's the meta in fucking... That is the meta in Islamo-leftism is the meta in European countries. Full MAGA Adams is fun to imagine. Picture him getting really obsessed with revoking the New York Times Russiagate Pulitzer or getting the truth about Biden's auto pen. New prominent donors are gunning to get Republican mayoral nominee Curtis Lewa a job in the Trump administration in hopes of pushing him out of the New York mayoral race. Sources told me the aim is to open up the GOP nomination, and nearly 30% of the vote that someone running in that lane is expected to get for current mayor Eric Adams. I don't know what that swap would look like, by the way, because if he runs straight Republican ticket to get the Republican auto votes, okay, then I think he loses a big chunk of the black voter base that he had. Which, by the way, that number is also diminished no matter what people try to tell me. He's gonna lose the perma Democrat voters that would have voted for him. But then again, I also don't know if you can even run on the Republican ticket.
Giuliani, Bloomberg, crossover de Blasio and Adams to a socialist who now is very likely to win because anybody who gets the Democratic nomination wins. Now, it's true, some people will organize against him. Some New York business leaders are very scared. Some Jews in New York are very scared that this guy who defended globalized the Intifada recently on a podcast at the Dispatch is their next likely mayor. So they could potentially organize now in a way they didn't before the primary to stop him. But if you had to put money on it, you'd have to put it on this guy becoming the next mayor. What does this say about New York and our country?
Well, a lot. And I'm going to push the envelope a little bit, Megan. So you have to give me, and you can push back at any time. So I think it's very
you're in
important
trouble. I saw you're in trouble with Jessica Tarlov of Fox News on the internet.
Well, yeah, I'm going to say it here on air because I just I don't hide from my opinions. But yes, and you can push back and disagree, and I'll give all the proper caveats, which of course I believe in. But yes, the socialism part is very important. I mean, he has like some of the dumbest ideas imaginable, which we're going to have city-run grocery stores. Yeah, that works really well in Cuba. Bring back bread lines, right? Mamdani 2025. And obviously he wants to tax the rich. He wants to take more money away from people. All that's super bad. He wants to defund the police. He's on the record saying defund the police. He wants to send social workers instead of cops. But like, we need to also understand, and we have to be very delicate how we talk about this, and I'll give all the proper caveats, right? Not every Muslim is bad. A lot of Muslims are really decent and good people. My primary care doctor is actually Muslim. I've endorsed someone running for office as a Muslim, Zuhdi Jasser here in Arizona. So we all know individually good Muslims. But we also must kind of take pause and say, wait a second. The two financial power centers of the West are obviously London and New York. And are we really going to have two Muslim mayors of the major financial power centers of the West? Like, let's just take a pause and take a step back and like, what does that say and what does that mean? And people say, well, it's irrelevant that he's Muslim. Well, you said it best. He wants to globalize the Intifada. And by the way, that just means globalized terrorism. He is the first mayoral candidate of any significance to say that he supports sanctions of Israel.
I don't get their fear because Nordic countries are all socialist democracies, not socialist, but they're social democracies, and are consistently at the top of lists for citizen happiness, life, longevity, and health, education, quality in life, and social progress. Yeah. And yeah, economists lie all the time. They just lie all the time at the behest of capital. That is their primary focus.
Could run think the post office with food. So that could be in our future. President Trump reacted to Mamdani's Democratic presumptive primary win, and he said it's finally happened. The Democrats have crossed the line. Zohran Mamdani, a 100% communist lunatic, has just won the Dem primary. This is a big moment in the history of our country. But I'm wondering, EJ, from a political standpoint, is his win really a story of Zohran Mamdani and the rise of the...
Dude, stop sending me the Gabor Mate Palestinian trauma and Palestinian suffering, please. I don't know why so many chatters are sending this. I'm not going to watch it right now, okay? I love Gabor Mate. Watch it on your own time if you would like to. I am not going to watch that right now. There's a fuck ton of issues to cover today. Why? Why are you guys constantly fucking sending this?
Far left in New York City, or is it more of an all-out indictment of Andrew Cuomo? Because recent elections, including the presidential election, shows that New York City is moving further to the center. I mean, President Trump gained 95,000 votes in New York City, and Democrats lost 500,000. So what do you think is really going on here? It seems like if it was Andrew Cuomo's race to win, and boy, did he lose it.
Well, Carly, I think it's both. You know, look at President Trump. He's a great example.
Okay, I can't watch the rest of this. This is crazy. All right.
You are told by well-meaning individuals that the more you want to accomplish, the less you should speak about Palestine. And for me, what made it central to my identity is that it is a glaring contradiction. This is Astoria. Astoria has been home to immigrant communities across the world for decades. The biryani and some eggplant. When you're a South Asian Muslim growing up in New York City, there aren't so many places where you can feel at home. And this is one of those avenues where, for me and for so many others, you can be yourself. This is how we defeat the occupation. Style.
So the third holy grail of taboos in American politics, you have socialism, you have Islam, and then you have Palestine. And you are really going for the trifecta.
Let's go, baby.
Let's go. Tell me, why is Palestine a part of your politics?
When you grow up as someone, especially in the third world, you have a very different understanding of the Palestinian struggle. It is one that is framed in terms of empathy and solidarity. Specifically growing up in South Africa post-apartheid, you know, it felt as if one of the most natural things to wear around my body was a keffiyeh. And so then to get here and see all of a sudden this topic was not only one that was discussed very differently, but was entirely taboo, it was a shock to my system. And for me, what made it central to my identity is that it is a glaring contradiction. We say we care about freedom and justice and self-determination, and yet for some reason we draw a line when it comes to Palestinians that accept them. I'd see in this country time and again politicians that I would admire and who would inspire me, but who would be described as progressives except Palestine, PEP. And it became a driving force for me that we need to have a sense of consistency here. We need to have an understanding that our solidarity must be extended to the Palestinians. It shouldn't just incidentally include them, it must foreground them, because they are a people who have been there are people who have been fighting for survival for decades. Their survival has been put in jeopardy by the actions of this country for an equally long period of time. And it is our responsibility as Americans to ensure that we end those days of complicity. So there's no point to any of this if it is not to finally end that contradiction.
We got to talk about the fact that New York is becoming a communist Bolshevik town. It's incredible. I'm sorry, I've lived in New York State.
Communist Bolshevik town. At least these dumb fucks didn't realize that the meta is saying Islamo-communism. You have the chief economist of the Heritage Foundation still saying this. Interesting.